Yeah, I woke up late, but I spent most of my time eating up a beef hash, and I was not able to go early as I still had to prepare and do a few things. But upon reaching class later, I had extra 3 minutes, so I looked at the bike rack and I noticed most don't have locks, but it was fairly cold in the morning. In class, once I got there for Spanish, we had a numbers quiz, and I was able to answer, although I struggled in the millions. Next was the review, and she said a joke about soy milk, saying it's just milk presenting itself in Spanish. And later, we have another 10-verb review for 15 minutes, and we should work on our short project to then present tomorrow. And at this time, the environment was more laid back, although Drew didn't really have his paper today to work on, so I just spent the time doing my own thing. Next was a whole article as if it was just freshly released from a Pure Journal, and it's a Spanish story that we're going to have to highlight certain things about Cecilia, a girl from the balcony, and some random guy named Alex. And we had to memorize this whole article bit by bit and memorize each tenses, as she also spoke to us using that article. But we read all of this to our table partners in words we did not understand. And the story itself is a love story between Alex and Cecilia. For this story, the teacher stopped per paragraph and asked if we don't know any words. I keep forgetting that the verb cambiar means to change. So we read every paragraph and asked questions in front of the teacher, and it continued with the narrator speaking that Alex is lazy and faces a highly complex situation with Cecilia, though I'm not able to fully comprehend the exact details. And a new word that I also learned is Daniel, which means to have her. And we paused midway, saying that we're also going to work on presentations and also presenting ourselves for 7 different things about ourselves tomorrow. And I took a picture of my schedule at the end since I switched for 6, but I knew I had to cut my share project because I forgot to do it during class. But today, I'm heading down for Peer 2 English. Again, the weather is very hot. There's new transfers, and I saw a girl of whom I talked with a few days ago, but didn't really go too far. The agenda today is a CRA acronym refinement and a new note starting with formal writing, but mostly veering off topic a little bit, noting to follow the acronym and cite sources. She mentioned that we have to cite page numbers, not paragraphs, and cite the last name of the given author. And the total amount of paragraphs for this CRA paragraph is only one. And I also noticed there was an auditor nearby watching. Nonetheless, she emphasized in 100 times magnification that we must follow everything once we go in. Now I was able to rewrite my response for this one, thankfully, since she gave us the rest of the time to do so. In review, the CASP response and emphasis, I say that she was exceedingly emphatic in telling us that we're going to have to master this. So then after we passed our responses with her criticisms and for us to work again. Mine was mostly of formalities and minor corrections and using too many contractions. For the rest, the class was mostly laughing at each other's results. And as an update from yesterday, the girl was from another seat was requested to the office and for matters that I cannot say. And I heard an important piece of information from another table that Gerald's life mattered because of what could have been, not because the hospital didn't do its job or that everybody else was treated him as insignificant, though I still adhered to the acronym to actually get this point through. But at this point, everybody was mostly asking for help with each other on specific antics. Like, what was also pretty funny at the same time was Annabelle, one of the students of whom the teacher lost her paper. The little boy said, "You're gonna get a 0," but she ended up laughing. She said that she will not get a 0, but the teacher said that she's going to find it and that she's not going to fail the grade, even though people were laughing at. Instead of rewriting newly made paragraphs all over again, I simply rephrased my old one formally, and I used more divine transitions to connect it all. Like, I had to restructure the last paragraph to emphasize the tone and finish it fully. Also, notice the caddies on the phone are also loose at the same time, so that kind of distracted me. Even then, like at the end of class, I did end up messing with a part of it, and almost a boy told me about it as I was working. But later, I waved to the person who transferred to this class near me because they felt a little aloof, so I wanted to make them feel a little better. But as for the rest, I talked to my old friend from Spanish, and it was mostly fun stuff. Background music was mostly lo-fi, but drowned by the loud class. But I was able to do mine, and I'm definitely proud that I was able to at least do it a little bit better. Now, heading down for math. Today, again, the weather is hot, and when I talked to my teacher about sports, he was still pretty happy. Today, the teacher announced that today sounds like Friday, but it's only Thursday, and he announced a review of the lesson RSG. And today, for lesson 3, that is starting. A person today was hurting, so the teacher sent them to the office. And later, I asked him for graphing the inverse of a given problem, and he said A to D problems are his least favorite for this assignment. So he didn't give us the answers, but he definitely sketched out the graph for us, which I found really difficult because it's really small. But our next lesson was another lesson named Tracking the Tortoise versus the Rabbits. We had the exponential equation y equals 2 to the power of x, and we answered 5 questions about it. A person came in and picked up the person's stuff who left to the office. And as for our lesson, it's about an exponential crawling tortoise that will somehow outrun a given rabbit, and which goes very fast. And if the tortoise friends sit 1,000 meters or 2 meters away, we must calculate how much long they'll have to wait. And today, also, another auditor, which is the principal himself, was in this class and was observing it as the teacher answered questions. When I drew the inverse and I switched it, I was pretty confused, but eventually it clicked in my mind. Like, this is just reflecting this given parabola, but across the given axes. So the class still had some trouble, but to wake up people, the teacher picked randoms and those randoms to pick other random people. Sadly, Jude picked me for the equation, but this was asking about another general idea of f of a is equal to b, then f negative 1 to the power of negative 1b is equal to a if f of x is a difference function. I said that a, that this would still remain the same. But Jude caught me right off guard, even though the teacher was super eccentric. And for this stuff, since it's already differential, it still stays the same. Heading down to period 4, hot whether again I still don't like it. Today is a quiz, and as I passed to period 4, it was mostly common we passed the building. In class, I saw the same person I talked to before, but well, she seemed aloof again. She also transferred to the same class. But heading down to period 4, today is our science quiz, of which I didn't even write notes for. So in the substitute still counted role anyway, and I hoped he could sub for my math class because he substituted for my math class last year. There are a few people absent today. I also noticed a lot of people eating and some others that are lowball speaking. Because it was low key and quiet, I had to hold myself from laughing because I have a lot of sensitivity here. But nonetheless, I kept working, and I know the teacher a few times definitely made me almost laugh, especially with the people in my table. They're talking about a bunch of different things. The boys at my table made a few jokes, but in the other places, I knew that the substitute, at least for this class, will have a few notes for the teacher tomorrow regarding what was happening. But regardless, for the excess time left, I worked on my Spanish project and math, and for the rest, the class was talkative and we all continued on our own business as usual. The table and others near me spoke of classes, other things, and how the stresses are going on, friendships and relationships, and other things such as hypotheticals. The substitute even said that he cannot stamp papers, as he said that's only up to the teacher, even though the teacher said to us about a day ago that he can stamp it. But no, oh well. And heading down for lunch. Today I decided to take a relaxation break down in the library, and I decided to stick with the remnants of what is left of Rayon's group. And this is where Levi, James, and the others were present. Very great people as always. And this time it went mostly well, and I sat down relaxing, doing nothing while others were busy around their phones. In observation, though, I did notice a large group of boys nearby went up to the library, and the library assistant forced one of them out because they were drinking, and the boys acted like cliquish as usual. And even the large buff guy, who's also part of the library staff, came to assist the assistant Vic and make sure that the guy was gone because they apparently were eating food or drinking water, so they got kicked out. As for my friends nearby, they're made mostly humorous and lighthearted for the banter today, but I did about 3 fastballs of like conversational pictures and some basic toxic, but not too much. But I was mostly afraid about 6th period since I just got transferred, so that was like the fear that was looming over me. But heading down to period 5, today is Bellwork, and we're inferencing when a redwood forest got returned to Native Americans and what we thought of it in relation to our unit. But today is our Google Slides check for table of contents and ensuring that we have everything ready. The teacher accidentally set the due time to 1:17 p.m., but she said it's going to change to 2:17 p.m. And it took us about 5 minutes to get everything set up and for us to write down our important things, but we were able to do it nonetheless. And our next activity was a drawing, and we first watched a Native American video about land ownership. So more about land acknowledgement, poster, and info. And we read this according to rubric, and this is a mini project in replacement to a test. It also has to be vertical. And I did my letters in big to take over the paper, but I still plan to use the core sometime. But most of the class was focused on it, and I also noticed some other posters had a modular rainbow design. So I found those pretty cool, but I might not do mine that same way. I'll just keep mine simple. Heading down to period 6, so I got transferred voluntarily into art, and heading into the class, it was awkward at first, but the teacher redirected me and said that there is nothing to worry about. But my first assignment is that we have to draw 3 things: one that's easy, one that's medium, and one that's hard. And said not to worry about the syllabus or all the other assignments that are going on, as she has not started other work yet. Today for my transfer to arts class, I realized a few things while drawing. So even though this is kind of like a new kid in the locker syndrome, the teacher said for me to sideline the syllabus, sideline all the current assignments right now. We're going to start within our own pace. For the drawing, others had the assignment of drawing a theme and focus on drawing symbols of that given theme. I realized that I don't have to exactly trace for any of these, but rather I need to draw the line slowly and see with the tool that I'm drawing side by side. And slowly and surely, I was able to draw a basic pair of scissors, draw a pencil, but I got confused at first because I wanted to draw a counter near me that's side to side, but I used those to my advantage and instead drew a little pot that's cooking in the furnace, and I drew along those lines. This was unled as there were no direct specifics, but I followed my flow and I did it, so good thing to know here. Though what is easy, medium, hard for everyone is different, so I just stick to basics. I'll post this on Instagram if you guys want to see this, but instead of sticking to the instructions of like one object per every single mode, I just simply drew what my mind asked me to draw. So I did not follow like the strictly, but I just decorated it and edited it as a first piece to art portfolio. So I'm gonna post that later on. I might post other drawings from this class. I know some people from the art community might be watching this, so there goes my narrative branching journey for period 6, guys. So in some ways, we've absolutely changed the trajectory of junior year, specifically for 6th grade, even though this will not affect other classes. So that's a cool thing right there. For next year, elective class, I might probably take a different class, probably like choir or something else. But if not, then I might take art 2 for senior year and wish school goodbye. But nonetheless, guys, this is still the middle of the journey, so please keep on watching. But in this class, well, obviously, I was afraid and scared too, but I knew at the end this is probably going to be adjustment fiction. I'm not sure if this trade to the class is it, but I think given the time, I can understand what I'm trying to do here. But as I'm saying, guys, I had to transfer this class too, and because of other reasons, because I'm also taking some extracurricular at the same time. So not just to add like that personal fiction I've been saying like in videos before, but I also want to switch this because of time management. But as for that, that concludes our 6th period and note pages today for conversations, as I was placed mostly with some older friends at a table of whom I remember only one fastball for this period, just a basic bitch. As for our extra details, my brother was not at school today, so he could not pick me up, nor was my mother, so I had to wait at the library and sit around until I was gone. I used this time to explore and find some random books to read, but moving down all the way later to the afternoon past 6, down to the upstairs of the library. I know it's the old book that I spoke of months ago, but my main goal was to ask the librarian where the Uno games are, and she said that they are always here, but Fridays only are when the games occur, and that ID cards are required. So I might play tomorrow if my friends are there. Otherwise, I'll just bring my own Uno game and then we'll play. But Fridays only are that ID cards are also required. But I must also balance it because tomorrow I also have to talk to random people because my pitching SCA is going pretty low, and I do not want my metrics going down. So to expand more, I'll still have to talk to more random people, at least more. So the weather outside was hot and I still had to stay in the library for a few more minutes. But as for my immediate environment, sadly, none of my friends were there except for a few other mutuals. But that is it for this video. I'm going to end this now.